busy with family. Mondays, Tuesdays are heavy at office. So Wednesdays and Thursdays being the midweek
Correct.
is ideal to spare out some time from your side,
Nice.
whosoever wishes to contribute.
Ji.
Ideally, everyone's duty,
Correct.
but not everyone realizes. So
Ji.
Wednesday is an alliteration to WWW. So that is this.
Nice.
Initially, it started with a concept, a project for my daughter's college, and then we formalized it into an NGO, which has been working for the last 4.5 years now in this space.
Nice.
And about a year and a half back, we also launched a private limited in this space, realizing that the ecosystem for profits is much better than not for profits.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, let's accept and admit we are very small,
Right.
grassroots NGO with very ethical practices, so it's very difficult for us to sustain. Let me put it that way. So I am an individual who's working. I'm an eye surgeon by qualification.
So that's where the doctor comes from.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it's not a PhD. I am a medical doctor, and about 9 years back, I took over as a secretary for a small colony, Navjeevan Vihar in Delhi.
Okay.
And which is the first model, because that was the year when solid waste management 2016-17 came in. So that was also the year when I took over as the secretary, and
Nice.
I took upon this entire thing, out of passion, that I know that I'm a doctor and sanitation and waste management is important. The impact of unhygienic conditions on health sector was something which compelled me to do so.
Ji.
And uske baad bas we created that model in my own colony, Navjeevan Vihar, that's the colony.
Yep.
And that is a zero waste to landfill. I will not say zero waste, but there's no waste which ends up in the landfill.
Nice.
On the principles of reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, refuse, refurbish, repurpose, so all of that.
Okay.
And which
So
is
two
when
questions about the initial project, because a lot of people would like to do or emulate what you're doing, and so typically 3 things that they should avoid, like 3 obvious mistakes, because enthusiasm में बहुत कुछ लोग करने की कोशिश करते हैं, फिर of course they fail grandly.
Right.
But 3 mini steps that they should start.
Yes. 3 things which will contribute immensely, even if you are an individual organization or a big company.
Ji.
First, segregate your waste now in 4 categories: wet, dry, sanitary, special care, irrespective of what happens after you hand it over.
Correct.
You've done your job.
Correct.
Number 2, say no to single-use plastic as far as possible, because the impact of single-use plastic you can't even imagine. Every single human being is ingesting about 5 grams of microplastic every week, which is about the size of a credit card.
Ji.
So that's not just for environment, that's for you and your health as well.
Yep.
And the third thing is no littering, no spitting. And if I have a fourth thing to say, then spread these 3 things to 5 people ahead. So I think that will have an amplifying effect. As far as my organizations, we do end-to-end waste management. We do not sell any products. We fill in the gaps. We see where the gaps are, where the problems are. And we build the projects accordingly to solve those gaps. We also do something, because Navjeevan Vihar is a zero waste to landfill model. So now we emulate and replicate that model along with, we are a CSR compliant NGO. So with the help of CSRs, we replicate this model, whether it is an institute, hospital, society, office, religious, spiritual organization, anything, and we create. And events, of course, we've done 3 events at Rashtrapati Bhavan, which were zero waste to landfill,
So
diverting 22
post-event you collect.
No.
Even during
post-event, there is no way. Once you mix rice and dal, you can separate it.
Right.
So if you see the pictures, you will see that right in the heart of food court, we established the bin station, and we got the people to segregate into 9 categories.
Nice. 9. What are the 9 then?
Okay, so it was depending on the recycling process and recovery process. Wet waste was separately, and the dry was further into 8 categories. Coolers separate, wooden spoons separate, plastic, the MLP separate, and the PET bottle separate, and the trays separate. Apart from that, paper separate, foil separate.
Nice.
So we got them people to segregate. We were not segregating. We truly believe that it is an individual waste generator's responsibility. The least you can do is put it in the right bin. It's not an active process. It doesn't take your time, energy, just the will and awareness to do it.
Correct.
So there are no shortcuts to segregation. We do
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
Now we've reached on to a city level.
Before Hisar, how many, in the past 60 months, how many such projects have you been able to?
All in all, we do a lot of projects, 20 projects in all. But if you talk about spaces, we've done colonies, we've done 5-6 spaces in Delhi cantonment.
Nice.
We've done it in South Delhi, we've done it in Bhiwadi, we've done it in NDMC area, and we also provide consultation who doesn't, and the distant spaces where we can't reach.
Of course.
There we provide the consultation, our visits. If there is less of fund, we give the project accordingly. If there's no fund, we tell them at least segregate. There are projects where Delhi NCR, we pick up stuff for reuse and recycling from individuals, not just organizations, so that every individual, if he's making an effort to segregate, at least his effort doesn't get wasted. And Hisar is a city level.
Before that, sorry.
No.
What is Paper Loop? Because
Paper Loop is a project in sync with, we call it circular economy.
Okay.
We collect all of the paper from organizations.
Okay.
We IOCL, Safdarjung, some of the corporations, we pick up en bulk paper. We send it to the recycler and provide recycled paper in exchange of what we pick up. There's an exchange rate which has been worked out because this serves two purposes. One, that your paper ends up at the right place for recycling, and two, the recycled paper, which is very difficult for the startups to market, also gets a market.
Got it.
So it is a double kind of an impact that you get. So one, if I may share some of the facts, one ream of 500 sheets of recycled paper saves 100% wood, 50% water, 77% energy, and 37% CO2 emissions as compared to virgin paper.
Of course,
And you have it right here. This is the quality of paper. There's no blotting, nothing. It's a great quality certified paper. And in city level, I would just like to make one remark. Over the last 4 months, with the kind of project that we brought in, which is more of awareness to action than of literal awareness, because if there's no action, it carries no meaning. Awareness is a very loosely used term. So over the last 4 months, we've attained over 50% source segregation, which is citywide, which the indicator is not declaration. We collect the wet waste and measure it, and that is how we know that we've crossed that 50% level.
And coming to Hisar, so when did Hisar begin, and what were the initial? I mean, now of course it's a success story, but what were the initial teething problems?
I never consider it as teething problems. I only consider it as, I would say, stepping stones, which help you evolve and make a better projects. See, my city, I'd been working a lot with Municipal Corporation of Delhi.
Right.
It's a big city, it's a metropolitan, a lot of problems. As compared to that, Hisar is a luxury to work with. The Commissioner Hisar is a very dynamic person. He's from IIT Delhi. He's a BTech, MTech from IIT Delhi, an extremely learned, knowledgeable, and a very, very active officer that I have. There were no issues, I will say, because I was prepared for what I'm going to face. So we had a concrete plan. It was launched on 1st of December 2025, and by mid-March, I would say, rather, end of Feb, mid-March, we attained over 50% segregation. Every single day, the 149 vehicles which are running across the city to pick up the waste from every household, every waste generators, all of them are mapped. We have tracking sheets. We map each and every vehicle, bringing in wet separately, dry separately, or mixed. And which is how we track. We keep a track. There are about 26 to 32 apprentices working on every single day with us, with a team of 5 or 6 of our people, 1 remote and 5 on the ground.
Right.
2 of them placed right at the transfer stations where the waste is coming in morning to evening to map every vehicle. At the end of the day, all of the wet waste is measured and we are receiving close to, I would say, anywhere between 25 to 27 tons of clean wet waste every single day.
Quite impressive.
Along with that, we have also mapped the clean wet waste going to goshalas. Every single goshala was mapped, and we did a survey and measurement of the waste which was going to goshalas, which is close to 12 to 14 tons. So put together, we get about 35 to 41 tons across the week. I will not give you only 41 ton, which is the highest figure. The lowest has been 34, 35, which we have consistently maintained over the last 2 months, and which gives us a figure, because the citywide figure of wet waste should be around 75 to 80 tons. So now you may see we have crossed that 50%. Still, we have to yet to measure the clean pulp, sugarcane pulp, and the juice center waste, which is going to the cardboard factories and for the cement and brick factories. Kilns. So there, when we take that into account, I'm very sure we must be close to 50 to 60%. But we will be a little conservative, because we want the city to go 100%. All the, as I said, the municipal corporation led by the commissioner is all for it. Some of the CSRs, are pitching in to fill in the gap. The citizens are very active. If I tell you about this, we have stickers which say sanitation and cleanliness, Swachhta warriors, placed on households which have been supporting.
Yes. Nice.
So we are bringing in all sorts of interventions, not. And now we've reached to a level where the enforcement should step in, and people who have not been segregating despite all guidance and all support should be kind of given a little nudge, a firm nudge, I would say, which can further lead to the second phase, where we step up to 80-85%, and the last bit, which is 85 to 100, which is mostly of the floating events and population. We'll bring in a different strategy.
The migrants and so on. So 5 quick follow-up questions. One is, what is this measuring and tracking device you have, and how do you map data for waste? Because again, it's something interesting that you're doing.
So there's a weighing bridge where at the final destination point where the waste reaches. So it is literally every day we get the slips there. What is the total amount of waste collected? Now, as far as the individual vehicles are concerned, we have a tray which has already been measured, and number of trays into the thing. So that is how we get vehicle wise, because we can't waste time in measuring every waste which is dropped by 149 vehicles, because they do 2 to 3 rounds.
Of course.
So it becomes hectic. But at the end of every day, every single bit is weighed on the weighing bridge. So that's one part of it. And how we track, we create Google Sheets every single day. Now we are in the process of making a dynamic dashboard for the entire thing, so that at any point of time, you click and you get the real-time data.
Nice. So good analytics. The second thing is these apprentices. How do you identify them, and more importantly, what's the language you're deploying? Because obviously it's not English.
No, it's Hindi mainly. And these apprentices were already it's as a part of municipal corporations to be training HSIs. They were already there. We've not pulled in any extra resources to deploy this. This is a part of the government. It was already a government initiative. We've just utilized the existing manpower.
Okay, understood. And of course, as you mentioned, you gave glowing praise to this gentleman, but obviously he's an enlightened soul. But obviously not everywhere we have enlightened souls. But what is again the methodology to sort of ensure Hisar happens elsewhere?
So institutionalization is something which he also knows. As I said, that he's a person with a very good IT and computer background, and me and him and other partners, all of us are on the same page that we should make the change systemic rather than individualistic. So I am sitting here, but the process is on. My team changes, but the process is on. So we are putting our SOPs and systems in place so that whenever there is a change of guard, I will not say that the project they will not change for good or bad. I cannot say.
Of course.
There will be a certain change, but that is minimalized.
The fourth thing is, of course, I mean, and this is like a question with four options. I mean, this is a problem which exists and it's a horrendously big problem. But we also notice that you have four groups of people largely in denial. One is, of course, the industry, which is in this sort of self-congratulatory mode. Ki, CAGR 25%, blah, blah, blah. We are doing our bit, number one. Number two is the guys who are actually in the business of manufacturing, the raw materials, the polymer guys, in some cases, the bio, paper, etc. So they are with their technology obviously not in touch with ground reality as say you are. So there's again a disconnect. Third is policy, and there's only so much policy can happen. And fourth is consumer awareness. To a large extent, people like us maybe on the other side of the fence who are completely excluded from all this conversation. So. In terms of emphasis, because obviously now that you've seen things at a granular level, past 5 years, what should be priority in terms of addressing, and more importantly, how do we get all these various silos to start having conversations with each other?
Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
So firstly, I will not say which is first and which is second.
Correct.
All the four things which you have mentioned are equally important. Adding on to the fifth one, which is enforcement of the policy, which is, if you ask me one thing, policy and enforcement. If we take these two things, I think everything. See, if I talk about awareness, if we leave it only at awareness, it is not going to make a difference. You have to bring in projects which translate all of that awareness into action. And that cannot happen without a policy enforcement in place.
Got it.
Say, if you keep preaching, it's not going to change unless and until it is enforced and people know that they are being watched. What happened in Hisar was people know that they are under a constant surveillance. They are being monitored and watched. Only then, and then there is an option of bringing in chalaning, which we've announced that we will be chalaning. So I think that fear of enforcement itself and then the actual process of enforcement is very, very important. Now the second part of it is how to bring all the stakeholders on the same table. So I think I see much that we rave that the government is not doing anything. I've been working with a lot of government bodies and I've been seeing Swachh Bharat mission over the last 9 years with my own eyes now. So I see it evolve with every passing day. They are bringing in interventions and mandates which make not only the governments act in accordance to this, they also are bringing, CPCB is bringing in EPRs and so on and so forth. Ministry of Environment is doing so much. So there is a will which I can see at the upper policy level. But yes, for it to trickle down to the grassroots level, I think we need bridges, and like Why Waste Wednesday serves as one bridge. So there are multiple bridges which are doing that. You're standing right here in a conference. IFAT has been running, I think this is their first edition in Delhi, but I think this will be their 12th edition in Mumbai. So these kind of spaces and events bring all the stakeholders together. The industry is here, the urban local body, the governments are here. And if you talk about policy, so I'm also the member of city level task force for plastic waste management for Municipal Corporation of Delhi. So we give a regular inputs there also. And trust me, much that we say that the governments don't work, but the very fact that I've been with the corporation for the 9 years is because I know that I'm not wasting my time. At least I'm being heard. And to a great extent, whatever is in the officer's capacity, they do try to. They hear and they do follow. Yes, we all know, I will not get into the political side of it. We all are much aware of that. There is a lot of push from topmost political level as well, so that it reaches down. But in between, there are loads of things which must happen. One thing which I would categorically like to say is that in the new guidelines, there has been very good clarity on bulk waste generators. So which is again a part of it is industry. So that fixes up a great deal of accountability and mandate for the industry, which is a great thing. Also, if you ask me, a shopkeeper is challaned because he keeps illegal single-use plastic. But why isn't the consumer? So, see, the minute you brought down the accountability of waste segregation to the consumer level, things have started to change. Similarly, even in terms of plastic, the consumers also, their responsibility should also be, and accountability should also be defined with a clear, I would say, in terms of penalization and action, what is to be taken, the law needs to come in there. Yes, there's loads which is to be done,
Sure.
but I'm a very optimistic person, and I
Good.
believe that the change would start from me.
Right.
So I don't know what the world is doing
Right,
and
right,
how
right,
good
right.
or bad it is. I know that I can make a
You a
difference,
little
so
bit,
I
yeah.
do.
Fair enough. Just two more questions and I'll let you go. You've been
No.
super so far. So one is of course the Delhi project, the other is the Hisar project. You also mentioned Bhiwadi, and
Yes, we are
so
doing
it's an
in Bhiwadi.
industrial belt. I'm curious to know if it has its own set of,
So right now we've not entered into. We are
Okay,
slowly
okay.
entering into industry, but we have one of our partners.
Okay.
RPSC
Oh, right.
is a CSR partner,
Hmm.
which helped us do one colony there, zero waste to landfill. But
Ji.
you see the impact.
Hmm.
Yesterday, RPSC called me that please come and collect our paper. So it started from paper. We'll go on to plastic. We'll go on to electronic waste. We'll see. I truly believe that people are not unwilling, whether it is individual or companies or organizations. It's just that they are uninvolved or uninformed, or the forward linkages are not established.
True.
So we all need to build an ecosystem around it,
Yeah.
and it's going well. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And targets, I mean, you've been doing now this for 5.5 years. If I meet you in 2030, what would you ideally like? I mean, if it's a utopian world and all your boxes are ticked, etc. Yeah, ideal world.
So if you ask me,
Ji,
2030 is still, we still have 4 years.
Ji.
If you ask me my wish, I
Yeah.
will say target is a little this thing.
Right.
All I would want is whatever policies have been put in place,
Ji.
they should be enforced.
Yeah.
And that will put everything on the track.
Yeah. Makes
Everything.
sense. Makes a lot
So
of sense.
at least the tier 2 metropolitans have their own set of issues.
Yeah.
One, I would want the tier 2 cities for NGOs, organizations, experts, waste management to enter into trickle to into tier 2, tier 3 cities, and also villages. Villages need it more than anybody else because no big organization wants to reach out to villages. So I think Swachh Bharat Gramin is something which I would really want as a target to cater next. I've been doing a lot of work in urban sector.
Yep.
Rural sector is something I really feel I must enter. Also, apart from this, as I said, the policy needs to be enforced, and every individual. See, it's more than an enlightenment on waste management. There's an overall moral revolution and ownership towards one's city, one's country that needs to come in. So if you ask me, whenever I take sessions, it's of course it's about waste management, but I also bring in the element where and give comparisons of Japan and South Korea, where people have taken ownership for their public places, for their cities, for their country, which needs to come in India more than, see, waste management is less about money, mandates, machines. It's more about behavior, belief, and belonging. So by 2030, I really wish that we bring in intervention where people start feeling for their open spaces, public spaces.
Caste is a problem, no, in India, in terms of, it comes in the way always, Anyway, we'll discuss that separately. So you're what, a proper Delhi girl who did everything? Okay, lovely.
Delhi NCR, you can say Faridabad initially, and now in Delhi for the last 26 years.
Okay, all right. So you've spoken to me for 25 minutes. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Dr. Ruby Makhija.
Makhija.
All right. So ancestors originally from Sindh.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Not exactly Sindh, but close to
Karachi.
Sindh. Yes, close to Sindh.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank